Welcome to Code and Commentary. I am your host, James Hicks. Today, let's start with this statement. There are 1,440 minutes in a day. How are you managing that time? And in that time, are you focused on the tasks that really matter both to you from a professional perspective and a personal perspective? For many of us, listen, our calendars rule the day. If it's not written on the calendar, it's probably not going to get done. And sometimes if it is written on the calendar, it still may not get done. But let's make sure that we're being incredibly efficient with that 1,440 minutes. Now, there's a lot of methodologies, there's a lot of platforms that are out there to assist us with time management, time blocking, scheduling, etc. I personally, I like Morgen. Morgen is listen, I'm not going to get to it. I got the CEO here to talk about it, but I'm a premise and say I like this platform called Morgen. We're going to get into this conversation and we're going to have the CEO and co-founder. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome David to the show. David Tidaldi, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks, James. Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to
Listen,
be here.
thank you as well for taking the time and for taking the effort and for being flexible as I had to do a little bit of rescheduling in terms of when we do this. But let's start kind of at the beginning, 35,000 foot level. I've already told folks that I like Morgan. I've already told you on social a lot that I've now really locked in and really put my money where my mouth is. I'll even say that, right, in terms of utilizing Morgan and doing some, again, I'm already sold. I'm already paying customer. But let's talk about an origin story. Let's talk about why Morgan. Let's talk about you and kind of the background and what caused you to want to start developing within this particular space as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So prior to starting Morgan, I worked on in a very big team in a very big team and a very distributed team in Cisco systems. And the moment I started working on more of a like project management level, I really realized how hard it is to actually manage time in teams and for basically for any knowledge worker to stay focused on tasks that really matter, exactly as you said. So that's where I developed a very personal interest on any topic that was project management, time management, team management, and productivity as a whole. So that's really where my passion was born on these topics. And then after a while, I actually explored together with my co-founder and back in the days flatmate Marco, a little project he put together during his PhD. He really built what was the kind of precursor of Morgan as a consolidation of calendars in order to gather data to experiment with the AI models
Hmm.
and that could support scheduling, better time management as a whole. And yeah, so that's really we got together on around this and we put together our passion, and here we are a couple of years later.
I love that. I noticed it in a lot of the collateral and a lot of the information, and you mentioned it just now as well. You talk specifically about project management, right? Not just time blocking, not just time management, not just scheduling, but you specifically, I see a lot of places mention project management.
Yeah.
Why is that there? I mean, because that's a differentiation that I'm seeing. I don't see a lot of other platforms that are within your same space talk specifically about the project side. They're only talking about, again, blocking out of time and scheduling and things like that. But why from a project side did you
Yeah,
want to
absolutely.
differentiate that way?
Yeah. So who picks the project management tool in a team? I guess usually it's the project manager, right, or the team lead, or somebody who has who picks up the task of finding a way to organize things, right? And I think that project management at its core is really dysfunctional. It's really all about the due dates when things need to be by which date things need to get done and stuff like that. And this absolutely disregards the known unknowns of disruptions that all come in any kind of knowledge worker kind of job. And if we're talking about developers, for example, bugs, customer requests, if we're talking about other sort of knowledge management work, there are always disruptions that are very predictable, even if you don't know when they're going to come, but
Hmm.
also the unavoidable illnesses and stuff like that, right? So all these things are really built just thinking about the project, not about those that are going to execute on it, actually making the thing a real thing, right? And this is really why our starting point in many things we do, right? We want to make sure that we put front and center the person, as this person is acting on a project and also accounting for their own personal life and all other aspects of their time, right? So that's our starting point, really, on a lot of things we do.
Okay. Okay. And so hearing it, and I'm not gonna call you a horse, but saying hearing it from the horse's mouth, right? Well,
Yes.
hearing it directly from you now makes sense in terms of again why, as I navigate through Morgan and I see an emphasis on tasks, an emphasis on that time blocking piece and the scheduling piece, and just kind of the way that you go about doing the thing is a little bit different than other folks. So that
Mhm,
makes
mhm.
sense. So I appreciate you for explaining that. Claire, I see in the comments. Appreciate you for coming in. Will this recording be available? It will be available on multiple platforms. You can just come back and rewatch it on my YouTube channel as well if you don't have to stay around for the entire session. So appreciate you for being here. Um, where you are, I talked about the competition. I talked about many other folks trying to do very similar. How does that affect you in terms of how you iterate and how you push um, platform updates and advancements and things of that nature? Right. I sent you a list of the other four that I think are within the same conversation as Morgan.
Mhm.
Not, but again, and I do that just to be fully transparent. But how do you look at what's happening in this crowded market space and say we're going to make Morgan even much better than those, or differentiate from the other ones that are out there causing noise and
Yeah.
causing havoc and causing news and things like that?
Yeah. So first of all, I think it's a massive market because there's like around a billion knowledge workers out there. So I think there's gonna probably be space for more than just one player in the space. I have to say that. The second thing is probably targeting and like who are really the people we're building for, right? There is clearly a bit of a difference depending on the tool you pick. You can clearly distinguish like whether it's something you resonate with or not, and whether it's really helping you on your personal development and time management. And I think that really what we are all about is really making productivity purposeful, right? So really aligned with your ethos around focus and just do the important things, spend time on what really matters, right? And our focus on project management, it's really because we believe people that work in projects and like they work in teams are those that need this kind of mentality the most, right? And they need to be able to defend their time. And what I mean their time is not just their creative time when they need to work on a task for work, but also their time as a whole, like so personal life, personal goals, personal objectives, habits, appointments, anything that keeps us sane at the end of the day, right? Everything that we are actually working for, like. So I guess that's really the two things that really make Morgan what Morgan is.
Yeah, and the fact that you're consciously thinking about that, and you probably see showing on my back screen here. I'm a huge proponent of the term focused, staying focused on you. That's actually I kind of coined that phrase a couple of years ago. So that's one of the reasons why your platform has resonated with me as compared to the X, Y's, and Z's out there as well. Listen, folks, I see you listening, I see you watching. If you got any questions for David or myself about Morgan, about productivity apps, about time management, about time blocking and things of that nature, and how they're succeeding in that space, put a Q in front of it so we can bring that question up. Um, let me ask you about this. Bringing in the professional side, bringing in the personal side. So I see day one, you've kind of thought about that, right? So you've got like the iClouds and the Gmails, but you also have the integration with like Google Outlook. It's still not Google Outlook. What's it? Microsoft Outlook. I don't know. All these
Yeah.
companies, they start blending together. Uh, Office 365 and Microsoft Outlook and things of that nature. So again, bringing in that personal, bringing in that professional side. One thing that I will give you these flowers on that I do like is the fact that within the Morgan environment, I can actually manipulate items within my calendar. Right. So within Morgan, I have two-way syncing. I have two-way manipulation of task and calendaring items. I don't know if you saw me on Twitter yesterday or today. I was giving somebody else the business because their platform does not allow that. You go back and look a couple hours ago at some of the tweets that I just sent out. There's a platform that's out there that
Nice.
just presents the information,
Hmm.
but you have to manipulate it on the primary, right? You can't
Hmm.
manipulate it on the consolidated platform. I'm trying very hard not to say who they are, but you and I will talk
Yeah.
afterwards about that. So what again, that right there, just those usability things, being able to have that one location to go to manage, manipulate, coordinate your schedule, your time. Talk again a little. Let's talk a little bit about that again. Just having that wherewithal, and did you expect someone like me to have this conversation that I can't do it over there? They're a pretty cool platform too, but man, we as Morgan have to do this day one to make sure that we are a fully functional platform.
Absolutely. And I mean, if I have to be completely transparent with you, it is extremely painful to integrate and consolidate with these many services on day one, right? And it's also, entrepreneurially speaking, is a dangerous choice because it's really, I mean, we're really opinionated on this, and we are really going to defend this with all our energy, because the easy choice is you start with something that is a big enough market, like just Google Calendar,
Mm,
and you build some functionality on top of that. Tough luck. We wanted to make sure the functionality we were building was actually allowing people to be very purpose with their time, which by design requires you to be able to have all the things you use in a one place and be able to use it from that one place. Is a control dashboard across all of your time, all the tools you use for time management, basically, right? This is really what we wanted to build from day one. And that actually, presented these challenges, but this is why by day from day zero we had these many calendar integrations on, and that's why also the recent partnership with Fastmail has been great, because it's really
mm,
helped us bringing tools like modern calendaring automation tools and stuff to Calda, which requires some co-development with the Fastmail team, right? So we were very excited about that, and this is really what we could bring to life with this partnership.
I
But
love it.
it is sometimes we can't do it all alone. Sometimes we need help from the other guys, right? And that was a brilliant example of how a partnership should really work. And but yeah, like, and I love how you picked the word consolidation. Like, it's a word I love, and I really think it needs to be there, all there in one place. Otherwise, it's just useless, because you don't get to choose all of your tools, especially if you're employed. You're going to get a calendar given by your employer, and you have no choice. You're going to have to use it, right? On your personal life, you probably have a Google Calendar, or if you are not too concerned about the privacy on your data, or maybe a Fastmail calendar if you're more cautious about these topics. And then to have it together, either you have it together or it's just useless, in my opinion.
Yeah. See, you and Michael over here throwing some jokes back my way just because the old guy slipped up and said Google Outlook, but that's all right. And and then you threw a little shade there. You know, if you're not really concerned about security, you could probably still be using Hotmail or yeah. Well, I don't want to say I don't do that, but
Yeah.
I won't. Yeah, I won't be mentioning too many folks. Like Michael said, he says yes. Morgan is the bomb on being able to manage calendars, and it's a critical
Thanks, Michael.
insight, right? It's almost Steve Jobsian. It's almost like when Apple took the headphone jack out of the iPhone before we even knew we wanted it. Right?
Hmm.
It's something that seems so common sense. It seemed almost too easy to do. Why hadn't someone already done it yet? You did it, and now I can't see going back to any of these other platforms. And now again, Steve Jobsian iPhone is. I don't walk around with wired headphones anymore. I've actually
Yeah.
listen. In the last month, here's a sidebar. Here's a squirrel moment. I've actually lost 3 pair of AirPods. Though I've lost one in the airport, lost one in the gym somewhere, and then I don't know what happened to the other one. So
It just disappeared.
if you can help me with Morgan to get this guy's $200 AirPods back that he keeps losing every 2 or 3 weeks. Hopefully, my wife's not listening to this because she would not be happy with the expense that I'm paying. Okay. Um, Fast Mail was,
Airports are a massive market on their
dude,
own. Like probably because of this very feature, they are easy to disappear. I don't know.
It
I'm not
disappeared.
hinting
Find
it's
My AirPods did not work in the X-ray machine at the Las Vegas airport. Just so you know, Find My
all
does
right.
not
All right.
work within a radioactive environment. Just so you know.
Okay. Okay.
Um, you talked
Noted.
about integrations. You talked about fast mail. That does seem to be a huge win for you. Let's talk about some others. And again, we talked a little bit ahead of time. Let's not go into NDA. Let's not go into anything that you don't want to talk about or is not ready to be released. But um, Google Calendar, Microsoft Outlook, Fastmail. A lot of us live in Slack, literally live in Slack. Good Lord, I'm glad you've got that there, right? Because again, that just seems to be outside of Twitter. I'll always call it Twitter. I'll never call it X. Outside of Twitter, that is really where the communication hub happens for a lot of organizations, for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Is this list, and I'm sure it is, it's kind of a softball question, this integration gallery, which is part of Morgan Assist, I expect this to continue to evolve. I expect this to be a full 2 or 3 pages worth of integrations, but the ones that make sense. Can I safely say that?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So actually, we already just to I don't know how familiar everybody listening in, tuning in is with Morgan. So this is just the assist, the automation platforms that builds all of these automations on top of all of your consolidated time management data. And but in the apps, the actual apps that the clients that people can use to actually manage their time, we integrate already with many more services. So we already integrate with iCloud, we already integrate with General CalDAV. We allow people to bring in all sorts of subscription calendars, and that's just the calendars part. Then we have
Hmm.
all of the video conferencing tools, all of the different project management, task management tools. So we integrate with a lot of with many services already. And in terms of all the things we are automating step by step, this is where Morgan Assist comes in, the automation platform comes in, and that's absolutely something that we are currently pushing very hard on. Like, so you can expect that list to grow. Actually, yeah.
I love
In
that.
terms of really of all the data you're going to be able to receive semi-automatic support on.
Semi-automatic support.
Semi-automatic. Yeah. So like, there's some things that are
Oh
fully
yeah, you can't
automatic.
just throw that out there without me trying to pick.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, like my bad, my bad. I should have
you
not
did that
said
to
that.
yourself.
Damn it.
No, David, you did
Yeah,
that to yourself. Come on, let's get into that, man.
absolutely. Yeah. All right. So like now, something we're really heavily working on as we speak is ways of actually supporting users um, with the process of time blocking more and more, right? And there's platforms out there that take this automatic approach where, I don't know, once you know the due date and a priority of a task, how you estimate how long it's going to take, or maybe the user tells you that you just slam it in the calendar somewhere, and there's some optimization process there. Just something that I doesn't really sit with me, and I guess with most people is I would never want to have my time, which is possibly my most precious resource, in autopilot, and I'm not in control of it, right? So we are actually really developing a way to support our users in this very task of better time blocking and planning, but leaving the user in the driver's seat. And I can't say much more than that at this stage.
You said enough
Maybe
right
maybe
there.
maybe I
Hey,
know.
shots fired right there, folks. Okay, so I'm gonna do it. If folks who so David, a lot of my community are solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and folks within the digital content creation world. So always looking for platforms and tools to limit cycles within our workflow. You talked specifically, or you mentioned about scheduling and time management on autopilot. We know who that is. We right, and again, I'm not going to mention
I know.
I'm not
I'm
going to
sure.
mention
I'm
those
sure.
names,
I'm sure.
but the definition that you just used in terms of allowing us to be responsible and the onus on the individual to manage that. We can set up parameters, we can set up frameworks, we can set up time frames and priorities, things of that nature. So we can set up the context of how folks can take advantage of that, again, that most important and that most precious asset, our time. But don't let me turn that over 100% to an algorithm. Let me own
Exactly.
how I engage and how I interact with Michael or David or Dan, or folks that are in things like that, right? That right there is again very telling in terms of where you're going and how. Again, I always want to talk about the why piece. So this is why you're different than all of the other folks out there, and this justifies any pricing or anything of that nature. Because along with that, I typically say people pay attention to what they pay for. Haven't even gotten down into what the subscription and things like that is for Morgan. And first of all, folks, I'm gonna tell you, go with Pro. Basic is okay, but go with Pro. I'm gonna tell you why later. But that case right there that you mentioned about allowing me to still have onus and control over my schedule. Again, I can set up the frameworks and things of that nature, but that right there is pretty cool. So I didn't want to gloss over that. I didn't want to get you in
Yeah,
trouble.
absolutely, absolutely,
You
absolutely. No,
know,
no, no problem, no problem, no problem.
Brenda's gonna call you. No, she's probably texting you right now and saying,
It's like, shut
she's
up,
like,
shut up. No,
she,
no, no,
she's
no, I
probably
get it.
saying, she's gonna unplug your whole internet connection right now. Don't do it.
Exactly.
Don't say it. Oh my
If I go
gosh.
dark, if I go dark, you know who's been.
See, there we go. It's recorded right now. So there we go. If your whole side goes dark, or if there's an earthquake on your side of the planet, then we have a problem. Um, let me ask you about this, and again, kind of an maybe an easier question, but again, a conscious question, and that I don't want to overlook. A lot of times, developers, a lot of times, organizations will put out the platforms for a single operating environment.
Hmm.
Day one, you're available on not just my favorite platform or Mac OS and iOS, but you give the Windows folks a little love. You
Yeah.
give them Android folks a little bit of love too, and shouts out to Linux too. So you are cross-platform, multi-platform again. Day zero, day one. Why was that important to you and the Morgan team?
Yeah. So I guess this kind of is a bit of like when you start building stuff trying to following a first principle approach, things get very dangerous and exciting, right? Is again, entrepreneurially, going multi-platform from day one is not something that I would recommend generally, right?
Mm,
The thing is, again, the reality of the matter is there is a small percentage of people out there that are all on macOS, right? And macOS, iPhone, like in the Apple ecosystem. And I'm one of those too. And, these are great tools,
that's why I
beautiful
like you.
machines.
Yeah, that's why I
Exactly,
like you.
right? But the reality of the matter is that there's a lot of people that, I don't know, they're going to have an Android phone or they are going to use Linux at work
Hmm.
and they use macOS at home or vice versa. Windows is in the mix, right? Of course. So again, this tool is useful only if you can really operate. Yeah, we really wanted to build something that through which you can manage your life, right? You can use to plan and purposely execute through your plans, but 360 degrees. And again, this wasn't even a much of a choice after all. If you want to build this, you got to give this to in the hands of people across all of their devices. Period. Right. So that's really why we went down this way. And this too is actually something that is benefiting us a lot because we're just on some platforms where there's nobody else, and that's in that case it's easy to be the very best tool. We are still trying to be the very best tool on macOS too, right? And across all of the most popular platforms, but or those platforms that everybody is betting on. But yeah, like it was really kind of our fundamental principles that we decided to go multi-platform.
Love it, love it. You've got and you mentioned doing it as well. Scheduling links. Well, that's what they're called. You mentioned the ability to schedule and create. Uh, I've moved. Listen, all of my schedules are now part of Morgan. So,
Nice, I'm glad.
I'm, dude. Again, I have cut ties with a handful of other platforms, and I've jumped in not on the 3 foot side. I've jumped in all the way on the 10 foot side of the pool here, because for me, it helps me as someone who's a technology evangelist, as a subject matter expert, as a coach, as an advisor to fully understand the platform, right? So I need to know a little something about a handful of
Sure.
things, but if I'm actually going to commit and recommend something, shouts out to my guy Chris Stone in here. He actually got me to hone in on, instead of saying, here are 3 platforms that I recommend for project management, for time management, things like that. I'm going to start with Morgan. That's where I'm going to push folks into a recommendation as opposed to giving them the option. If you're coming to me for expertise, I'm not going to give you a whole buffet, a whole smorgasbord. I'm just going to give you a plate of some nice food. That's a weird analogy.
Nice.
Huh. Okay.
Well,
Well,
it
work with
renders.
me.
It renders
Work
the
with me
idea.
again. The coffee today is not as great as it usually is. So work with me on that. Um, the scheduling piece, though, the scheduling links piece,
Yes.
I like where it is. I do want to ask if there will be additional capabilities integrated into that, and one specifically that I'm asking for. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Being able to charge for premium access to my time. Right. So
Mhm.
either a PayPal or Stripe, some type of an integration to where that H&M consult offering that I have within my scheduling blocks that I can actually say
Absolutely.
before we talk,
Yeah.
invoice, that kind of thing. Well, that, because I can do it now, but again, it's a multiple handshake, it's a multiple platform that I have to work with. But I would love again to have the one throat to
Mhm.
choke or the one platform to present to my customers. Is that something like that coming within the future?
Yeah. So the scheduling links are like, I mean, as you said, I think the reason why they work so well is because they're fully embedded into the rest of your time, right?
Yes.
Is we don't just access like your events. As you start planning with Morgan, we also make sure not to bother you when you're working on something high priority and you want to be focused on that, right? So
Talk about that.
like
No, because see, that's
people
where I
cannot
wanted to
just
go. Talk about that right there, because that literally, again, I'm setting
exactly.
you up. It's like we're fishing. That literally right there is the piece that I don't want people to gloss over. That you've
Yeah.
consciously thought about on the scheduling side. So I apologize for interrupting, but talk a little bit more about
No, no,
that piece.
absolutely. Except, but that's very important, right? Because so in Morgan, we make it darn easy to drag and drop tasks, time block, and all this stuff, right? And one of the big advantages you have compared to the mastodontic Calendly out there, right, is that Calendly wires into your calendar, and that's it, right? We
Hmm.
already integrate with more calendars than Calendly does, to be fair, but that's another that's another piece. The big differentiator, only even if you just have Google Calendar, is that now it's not just your events but also your tasks when you want to be working on stuff, right? And we offer the possibility to both say these tasks should block my time and these other tasks should not, so that there's sometimes we just say I have to reply to a bunch of emails, I can do it later, right? No problem. But it doesn't need to be fixed there. But yeah, so like this is one very big different piece, or I think one of the things that really work very well for our users with the scheduling, the booking page. We also have developed this quite novel concept of an open invite. That is basically you can turn any event. So as I'm
Hmm.
scheduling the next catch up with you, I might figure, well, actually, James is a busy guy. Let me transform this event into a scheduling link, and I can do this with one click, and just select a bunch of other slots, and I can just share that with you, right? So this is also to help people that are not familiar with the scheduling link concept, which probably most people in your community are, but in the broader public might not be already. Like just to ease into the concept, right? Now, that being said, going back to your question, I wasn't trying to avoid it. Is the plan is to keep iterating on the booking page, the scheduling, and things. There are more things that are going to come to it that are around the team options, like being able to work in a team or in a
Mm.
group of people, and because we already have quite a few very cool team functionalities, but this obviously is a big one missing for teams at the moment, and but also for solopreneurs, freelancers, coaches, and all these kind of crowd. Like the payment processing is an important piece. We know of that. It's not scheduled anytime very soon, but it's definitely something that is in the hot backlog for what concerns the scheduling links.
Love it, love it. And tell you what, until you get that in, if I can just get the ability to have uh, a bigger logo.
Sure, that actually
Listen,
we could probably work that out easily,
you
and
know,
and my CTO is gonna kill me to say this publicly, but we probably can work that out like
I'm
quite easily.
putting a marker right now, so that's going to turn into a clip in about 2 hours. Right, that piece right there. That's all I want.
Nice.
In the short term, if I could at least get my logo a little bit bigger, then boom, there
Yeah.
there we go.
Awesome.
Um, Chris Stone
Awesome.
was asking about Google. He sees the Google Meet integration, but was wondering about Zoom integration. Yes, Zoom is there, and from a resource
Yeah.
scheduling and calendaring perspective and video conferencing perspective, Google Meet,
Yeah.
Zoom, anything else
There we
within?
got Microsoft Teams, we got Cisco WebEx, like we got all the major players. And the cool thing is that even if we are not integrating with some, and you have a fixed link for some other tool you use, like I don't know, Butter or like Whereby, any other tool, you can actually use and preload that link somewhere in Morgan, so it comes out along all the other integrations when you want to add it to your event. So basically, you have a way to integrate also tools that we don't integrate with, as long as you use a fixed link for a virtual conferencing room.
Got you, got you. So that's really cool. That's really cool. Thanks for the question, Chris, and thanks. Michael's back there, just keeping you honest, right? Trying to keep me out of trouble, but at least keeping
Okay,
you
okay.
honest. So appreciate you as well, Mr. Holt, there for being part of that. Um, Morgan Assist. We hinted at that, and then I'm going to bring this plane in a little bit to give you some time back in your night, sir. But I want to talk a little bit about Morgan Assist because right now it seems like it's two environments that we're logging in to control our access to the platform. Talk about the purpose of Morgan Assist. I know we talked a little bit about it, but specifically how a user, how a subscriber takes advantage of what those workflows, what those integrations, things that, and what it does, right? Because all I look at it right now, and I see, let's bring it up. I see that I was slightly inefficient in my time last week. 6 hours and 45 minutes of unfocused time. That's normally for me, but I see that and I'm like, man. But but
Yeah,
63% of my time was focused, so there's good right there. But talk a
yeah.
little bit about the assist piece and logging into this and controlling access to Morgan.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the idea here is we baked into the Morgan platform as a whole, the ecosystem, right? This concept of automations, and I don't really like the word automation because, as I said, as much as possible, I always like to keep me in control, right, or the
Hmm.
user in control, right? And but there's just some bits that don't need the level of control. For example, when I am blocking an appointment on my personal calendar, and I have not succeeded yet to bring my entire team on Morgan, I want to make sure I don't get double booked because I see I'm busy there, but I wanted them to know I'm busy at that time, right?
Hmm.
So basically, this is we built an automation for them. And this is fully automatic. So like this means that I every time I block time on my personal calendar, I can set up this process that automatically brings in a time blocker on my work calendar as well, right? And I think that this actually speaks very directly to how much care we put on the individual, even if we're building a tool for teams, right?
Yeah.
Like we really want to make sure everybody's very comfortable with what they use from the individual perspective. From really the person we want to serve first is in the individual. And anyway, back to these automations. This is just one example of the things we can currently do, right? So the idea is that there you can automatically block time on across calendars, automatically transfer things, and this is very privacy preserving. You just would get a busy blocker. We don't You wouldn't know if I'm going to the dentist or I don't know, walking my dog or whatever else, right? So it's just a blocker. And then we built a few other things that were like requested by our users. For example, any event that has a as an address, just automatically block time for the travel. The So like basically every time you need to go somewhere, we just compute the time that it's going to take you to go there and come back, and we block it around that event. And we have a few other of those. Like we have other, like one that is very very cool for teams. And like how, like you work years in these big tech companies in teams scattered around the world, so like you know very well how hard can it be for productivity, or how hindering it is to actually have 30 minutes meeting, 1 hour of work, 30 minutes meeting, 30 minutes of work, an hour meeting. It's
Why
like
are you talking
that's
about my
time
day right now?
fragmentation.
This is my day every day. Okay, there you go.
Yes. Yeah, but because now you work with a lot of people, with external people, right?
Yeah.
As a solopreneur, and like you don't really have all the control you wish you could have, because
Mm-hmm.
yes, it depends when people are available. Now, something that we are actually we are capable of doing is if you work within a team, and so it's a closed environment, so moving things around is doesn't require a lot of communication, because we just know we want to make sure all of us have the most productive time. We can automatically slightly remassage the scheduled events within a team in order to compact teams together and create more focused time for the rest of the team. So that's another thing that we currently do, but this is a team only thing, because it really works well only with internal meetings.
Is that this right here, the team meeting optimizer?
Exactly.
Man, I need
If
to get
you it,
I need to get this turned on. I get it. Okay. Wow.
so this
I,
is turning into a customer onboarding call.
pretty
No,
much.
I'm kidding.
Forget everybody else
I
is
get
listening and watching. I'm gonna be selfish. This is all about me. It's all about David.
yeah.
I'm gonna start
Yeah.
utilizing this hashtag flex in my. Okay, but again, so those
Yeah.
types of
These are
consciously.
the things exactly.
I'm
These
sorry.
are the kind
I'll
of things
let
we're
you do it.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are the kind of things we're doing, and we're baking into this automation platform, right? And as I said, this is currently really focused on transactional calendaring information, right? So a new event comes in
Mhm.
my personal calendar, I automatically move it, or I automatically block time also on my work calendar, or similar things, right? And this doesn't require you to acknowledge. It's like you know you're setting it up because you know what you want to achieve, right? And that's that. But there's going to be more that comes that we're working on. We already started working on, and that is really helping people beyond the pure calendaring data, also factoring in more project management information, more task management information into their schedule. And that is going to be way less in autopilot. As we said before, you're going to stay in control of your time.
That's huge, man. That right there is a huge factor right there. So appreciate you for saying that. Yeah, like Chris said, man, that right there is solid. That again, just for you to consciously think ahead of, give us what we want before we even know we want it, but then still be respectful of, again, that most important asset, that being time. Before I go into my last section here, Chris also asked. He says, "I'm seeing custom views, but I'd love to see that in action." And custom views. Give me a little more insight, Chris,
Okay.
in terms of what you were talking about, or David, if you know exactly what he's talking about.
I am not 100% sure what these custom views are. I mean, we might be calendaring sets. So when you have tons of calendars crammed together in a single app, right? You might want to be able to quickly filter in and out different sets of calendars. So we built customizable shortcuts for this, that hitting one digit on your keyboard, you can just bring in and out calendars very easily. And I mean, these might be custom views. I don't know if there is any. Like, Chris, were you referring to something else?
We're stalling, Chris. We're waiting for you to put question. Follow up with us, man. I will make sure that in the description that I've got David and his team's contact information. But I did want to
Absolutely.
talk specifically about this. And thank you for the question, though, man. I already hinted at this. Basic is basic. Basic is okay. But if you really want to get the features, if you want to get the value, if you really want to start talking about managing that personal and professional time, uh, Pro's going to be the way to go. Oh, and look, they are still offering. You still got this early bird thing going.
Yes.
Martin, does Brenda
Yes.
still know that's up there? Man, you better. It might be time to take that down, folks. Take
We are
advantage of the.
it's going to be up still for a little longer, not too long, but we are like we feel there is a couple more things we need to add before we remove the early bird. We still like to appreciate those that venture with us now and with this early bird discount.
All right, all right. Listen, I'm trying to tell you here. I'm trying to tell you. So, on the free side, you get access to the environment. You get a little taste. Desktop and read only on the mobile side. One calendar integration, but you get unlimited tasks, unlimited open invites, which is a really cool thing. So being able to block
Yeah.
out time for a meeting. You've got a time on your calendar and you want to send it to some folks. These are my open advice. These are the times that I can meet. So I love that availability to the team aspect. You step up to Pro, you get the mobile app, two-way sync, cross-platform, unlimited calendars. Look, a lot of us have 3 or 4 calendars within our lives anyway, so this is going to be the way to go. The fact that you've
Mhm.
got the task integrations, the time blocking, you see it written down here, folks. This is just Take a look at it. I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna tell you what to do. I'm gonna give you the opportunity to go to Morgen.so and see what's available. I love the fact also that you're offering discounts for the academic side for students. Look, they're
Yeah.
out there. I got two kids in college right now. They're still trying to figure out what they want to do, and managing that time, managing that exam schedule, that test schedule, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool that you offer that, and that you've also got the full list of all your features and capabilities comparative on the plan. So, um,
Mhm.
any plans to incorporate it? Any of the following: weekly review, focus time, etc.
Hmm. Yeah, so that's actually, I don't know how you see things, but in my opinion, having, I think just any one such feature in
Hmm.
isolation is useful, but it becomes an actual powerful tool when it is brought together in a uniform experience, right? Meaning it's kind of, it's going back to that assistance that we want to build into the tool, right? Is we did and actually to my co-founder Marco, and during his PhD explored extremely interesting way of visualizing information coming from your schedule, extremely, like, but at the level of academic research on how to visualize things, right? Peer-reviewed papers, we're talking about actual research, right? And these are great things. It's just that what we realized is we want to make sure that when we offer these kind of insights are there to drive something, some change, right? And not just a nice FYI, a flashy plot with pretty colors you're going to look at twice and then who cares. We want to do, what we want to build into the tool is something that can really unlock more potential in what you do, right? Help you stay more focused, help you get more things done, make sure helping you stay on the things that really matter to you, right? So that's really why just rituals like the check your inbox daily or the weekly review in isolation are nice things, right? And a lot of people do this, right? I do that myself, right? But if we have to build something that facilitates that, we just don't want to do a bit of it. We want to, going
Mm.
back to the first principle approach, we really come out with very tough choices, and we hate ourselves for the choices we make, but then the people and users really appreciate what we build. So like, I think we're doing it, hopefully we're doing it right once more, but I don't know, time will tell.
Time
but,
will.
but we're going to build
Hey,
this in a comprehensive user experience.
you're doing it. You're doing it the right way, and it sounds like myself and Mr. Holt here will keep you on your toes, make sure that you stay on that straight and narrow. Um,
Nice.
Folks, listen
Nice.
again. I told you again. I'm slightly biased because I've already jumped in feet first in terms of utilizing this platform, Morgan at Morgen.so, and I will put links again in the description to where you can catch up with David, where you can actually see what they're doing, where you can actually take a look at the platform. They have a very active community on Discord as well. So
Yep.
they are answering all questions and being really attentive to users and pre-subscribers, folks who haven't even bought yet. If you've got a question about the platform, so that appreciate you for that. Um, this you're doing good work, man, and this space needs to be infiltrated. This space needs to be expanded, and it needs to be done with a different view and a different perspective. That's really a core of having you on this particular show, Code and Commentary, talking about technology from a fresh perspective, and the fact that you are having that fresh perspective about age old problem: time management, time blocking, scheduling,
Yeah.
resource utilization, and how we do those things. Appreciate you for that, man. So David, tell folks, instead of just for me, where they can find you. I know I already said it, but it sounds much better coming from your voice.
So, well, first of all, thanks again for having me here. And it's really, I really think I really appreciate how you're looking at things from the point of view of building something that can actually penetrate a much larger population. That's not just the productivity geeks that we are
Mm,
all in this space, right? And if I just have to say something about how we're doing things, again, the open invites this possibility of transforming an event, as everybody knows how to create, by just drag and dropping a little slot into the calendar, and from there create a scheduling link, really goes into this direction. We really put ourselves in the shoes of the common person in the sense that not the productivity geek that needs these kind of tools, but just don't know even there are solutions to some of the burning problems they have, right? So we really try to do that. But anyway, like, yeah, so I think I'm most active on Twitter and LinkedIn. Twitter, as you, I'm from the old school, I guess. It's like on X, and even more on LinkedIn. Actually, I just getting started on X. So and if anybody wants to reach out, like just DM me, and I'm gonna be more than happy to hear out what's your use case or what you like or not like about Morgen.
There it is, folks. Appreciate you. David Tadaldi, CEO, co-founder of Morgen, Morgen.so. Folks, if you found value in this session, let me know. If you did not find value in this session, let me know. Right. We want to continue, evolve, continue to iterate, and bring value in terms of these conversations. That being said, David, have a great night. Everyone as well. Take care of yourself, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks again, James. Thanks, everyone.